Welcome, Bills Mafia. It is once again time for another edition of Line to Game on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. I am the Big O, Jerry Ostroski, down here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She is Sara Larson. She's down in sunny Miami, soon to be in old, dreary London. But you're checking us a day early. We had to go a day early tonight. We are live. If you're watching on Twitter, you're watching on Facebook, remember, hop on YouTube. You can get in the comments. You can join the show. Make comments, ask your questions. We always got super chats. They take priority. Richard's already jumped in on the show, Richard Rush. But
Always.
again, special Tuesday night edition as Sara heads over the pond to London to check out the Bills
Yes.
versus the Jaguars. But first and foremost, we need to talk about that arse whipping that took place on Sunday in Orchard Park between our Buffalo Bills and that other team.
Uh it was just so I'm gonna start by saying, of course, we all predicted a 28-point victory. Um no, I mean, I was confident in us winning. I know I always pick us to win. I always pick us to win. I'm superstitious like that. But I was still confident. I'm like, there's no way this team is going to allow the Dolphins to come in here and beat us. There's just no way. Um, but like when we went up by 2 scores, I actually got a little nervous for a second there. I was like, uh-oh, guys. Like, don't take your foot off the gas. Like, you gotta
Right.
just keep on going. But then it was 3 scores. And then I'm like, when we went up by 4, I'm like, I was just mind blown. I'm like, this is this is awesome. This is amazing. So great
I'm glad
game,
that you
great
were
atmosphere.
confident. I'm glad you were confident.
Well, like
I
I
did
said, I'm superstitious. I have to be confident.
right. I did pick a Bills win. I picked 34-31. I for sure didn't
Okay, so
go
we were close. I said
right.
31-27.
Right. I for sure did not go 28 points. The thing
Okay.
that I was worried about was, and it happened, okay? Obviously, Bills get the ball, go down, score 7. Miami answers right away. Buffalo answers. Miami answers right back. And this Miami team has the ability to just hit you with an onslaught early, right? They have the ability to change your game plan by how much pressure they put upon your team in points scored. And I was I was nerved up to the fact, and I talked about this last night on Off Tackle Show with Fina. Um, you know, I was hoping we could get a few stops. There's some games out there, and it seemed like that way early, right? First 5 drives combined, 5 touchdowns. Then the Bills force a punt, right? I'm
Yep.
like, okay, there's a stop. We
Did
have
you
a
see my
chance.
tweet? Did you see my
Right.
tweet? I said finally the Bills forced the stop. I actually said to the guy next to me, I said, this has a feeling of whichever team is able to make the stop and then capitalize on it
Right.
is what's going to end up winning this game. So when we forced that stop, I was like, yes. And then we couldn't end up, we didn't capitalize. We ended up, having to do it again. And then we got the turnover the next drive and then we scored finally. So then I was, like going up, ahead of them.
Right.
And then we made it so that they couldn't score. And then we made it 2 scores. So I think that that's what kind of took the air out of their sails.
Well, it's to liken it to another sport. It's like tennis, right? Breaking a serve, and you get a chance to get a stop like that. I mean, the teams were on serve, and then they go ahead and they break serve. They get a stop, and it's like, okay, and obviously we didn't take advantage of it, but that's how I thought this game was going to be. I thought it was going to be high scoring. I thought both teams were going to score a lot. Um, I obviously didn't see the offensive output coming that the Bills put up, but it was the first quarter and a half of this football game was exactly how I thought it would go, and then next thing you know, McDermott switches some things up. And the nice thing about his game plan was, and let's change this narrative right now, okay? One game does not make or does not define Leslie Frazier's career as trash. We seem to be throwing
Oh,
this trash
oh
phrase around,
God.
okay? And that has been on Twitter. That has been the narrative of Bill's Mafia. Not everybody, of course, but a lot of people have been like, Now we got a real defense coordinator. Leslie Frazier's defenses were in the top 5.
Yeah.
They
No,
were good.
that narrative is stupid.
Right, but they were missing something, right, Sarah? They were missing something, and what they were missing was the ability or the want to take a chance, maybe when the situation was iffy. And I said this last night. I watched this game, and it was the first play of the game. I'm pretty sure. If it's not, it was second play. He brings pressure. I was like, "Yo, man, this is different." And I just think that the defensive game plan was, and we talked about it last week on the show, Sarah. My key to the game really was being able to get pressure on Tua, because we all know if you get him off a spot, and he can make plays with his feet, but he's not comfortable with it, especially with the concussion history. The D line was absolutely tremendous. They were able to play the run with limited numbers in the box, have success containing the run. I know there were some big runs in the game by the Dolphins, but it all clicked. And then you listen to Tyreek Hill after the game talk about they played man with a 2 shell, and basically their corners were up there wide-eyed like, let's go. We're going to make this hard on you. I thought the defense, but I thought both sides of the ball, the game plans were brilliant, but especially defensively, to be able to do that to that offense.
Yeah, I
It
thought
seemed like Mike McDaniels had no answer.
for me, I was actually not thinking it was going to be an offensive shootout. Yes, I still said it was going to be 31-27, but I thought it was going to be like a methodical, like, one score here and there, a couple of stops, every quarter someone
Right.
scores a touchdown, and then there's a field goal at the end. It's kind of how I, had it playing out. I wasn't expecting the dominance. I really wasn't.
Right.
And that's what we did. I'm sorry. Yes, they still moved the ball a little bit at different times, but it was kind of like we were baiting them to do certain things. And that's the thing with McDermott that is different than with Leslie Frazier. Is Leslie was very bend, don't break. Sean is
Right.
shove it down your throat, aggressive, for the most part. And I like seeing it. And I think because we spent so long under Frazier's defense, again, top 5 defense like every year was here. So I am not gonna discredit him at all. It was just different. But I'm excited to see this defense if it continues. I should say when it continues, getting better, especially bringing back Vaughn. I know we lost Trey, but in the playoffs, like that's when it's going to matter, because the bend don't break. I've said it to you a million times. That's when it scares me, is the playoffs, and it hasn't been working in the playoffs. So I'm really excited. I think I tweeted out the other day. I said, Sean McDermott is a top 5 NFL head coach and a top 3 defensive coordinator. I think he's proving that. Granted, I know we're only week 5, stuff, seeing how all that plays out as the season goes along. You still there?
Exactly.
Jerry?
Yeah, I'm there. I think the thing is that the thing that I like that McDermott does is McDermott is really, really good at allowing his players to use their strengths, right? And I keep going back, and we have to talk about Ed Oliver and his play over the last few weeks and how well he's been playing. But this is an extremely athletic defensive line. I know we got Phillips, we got some size inside, but when you put Floyd, and now you got Vaughn coming back, Groot is that way. Rousseau, you've got Ed Oliver. These guys are tremendously athletic defensive linemen, and he's allowing them to get upfield. He's allowing them to get in gaps. They're not sitting back trying to play double teams, trying to eat up blocks, and letting a middle linebacker make all the plays. He's allowing his defensive line to eat, and I think it's showing. I mean, it's funny. We had so many question marks about our front seven. And now, after 4 games, you look at our front seven, and our front seven is athletic as any front seven in the league.
Yeah.
Because they're allowed to be athletic. He's allowing them to use their legs. He's allowing them to run. He's allowing them to make plays. And, I mean, I mean, that's the key to coaching. I
Yeah.
coached high school for over 15 years. You got to see your players, and you got to put a system around them that complements what they do well. And he's doing that on this defense, and it's reaping rewards
So
week in and week out.
so one of the things about the defense this week that everyone said we weren't going to be able to get to two, or we weren't going to be able to sack him. He gets the ball out too quick. We ended up getting 4 sacks, and 2 of them were from Groot. So I want to, shout
Right,
out him. Right now, we're number 1 in the NFL with 16 sacks. Obviously, that might change now because of last night's game. They had 11 sacks in one game, so that might be
right,
a little bit different now after that crazy game. But anyways, we had 2 turnovers, which was huge. Bernard is so consistent. 3 games in a row with the turnover,
right.
with a either a recovery or, the turnover itself. Milano's just the workhorse, another 10 tackles. But Ed Oliver, all of us were up in arms when we paid him. He is playing like the $17 million man that,
Yeah,
that we all worried about. It looks like Bean's a genius right now when it comes to
but it's
him
not
and
even
Bernard.
yeah, but it's not even Bean. It's like you say, it is Bean, but also McDermott knowing what he needed out of those positions and knowing what he had and keeping those guys there. The 2 positions we're in, you talked about earlier, up in arms about Ed Oliver, and everybody was losing their mind about a middle linebacker. And now those 2 guys, you could possibly really argue that they're the strength of this defense, right? But
Right.
obviously, tremendous job by McDermott defending the Dolphins and everything. But hey,
Right.
remember, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, hop over to YouTube and watch this. You can get in the comments. Daryl Fletcher's here. Matt, Roy Collins is in. I know Triggs. I saw him. Walter. We got a lot of guys in here. Let's
My
talk
girl B.
716 Sports.
Yeah.
Exactly. So come on over, jump in, hit the comments, and we got a little bit longer. We're going to talk about last week's game before we hop into the game over in London with the
Right.
Jaguars. But let's hop to the other side of the ball real quick, Sarah.
Well, quick, because I wanted to answer Roy's question, because I put on here that Taron Johnson's so underrated. He put, how is Taron Johnson underrated? Coaches on other teams give him high praise when they're asked about him. Yes, when they're asked about him. What I mean underrated is nobody in the media, nobody talks about him on the national level. No one highlights him. It's kind of when someone brings him up that someone's like, oh yeah, Taron Johnson. Um, he is probably, if not the best, the second best nickel corner in the NFL, and I just feel like he deserves to get that recognition a little bit more. Someone put that he deserves a Pro Bowl berth. 1000% agree. So I just wanted to put it out there. My opinion. Triggs just put up there. Slot corners never get much love. Exactly. And that's and that is kind of what I meant by being underrated.
Well, the dirty job guys never get any love. And playing a nickel corner in the NFL is a dirty job. You got to play the run, you got to cover the slot. You're not a guy that they're never going to put Island after your name, right? You're the guy that's doing all the grimy work, and
Right.
Johnson is that guy. And as much as we were in a little bit of a panic mode with Bedford when he had the shoulder deal, when Johnson was down, probably in more panic mode,
Yeah,
because
I
those
was.
are the types of guys that you can't replace. But real quick, let's hop to the other side of the ball before we get to this Jaguars
You
game.
just want me to get to number 3. That's what the problem is. So
Well, I'm just looking at the clock, and I know when you want me to go to our next
yeah,
ad,
no, I'm
and we ain't
joking
got much
because
time.
of your text message after the game.
Which was
But
what?
first and what about Gabe Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But I don't
first
want
and
to get to
foremost,
Gabe. I mean, Gabe speaks for himself. I don't have to. I don't have to politic for Gabe anymore.
yeah.
All you need to know is go
Um
on Twitter, and it's been crickets.
yeah. First and foremost, Josh, another just very methodical, well thought out game plan that he executed
Okay.
perfectly.
Okay. I wanted you to say that. I
Okay.
wanted you to say that because I think the guy that needs more praise with I think the guy that needs more praise than Josh in this game is
It's
Dorsey.
Ken
Yeah.
Dorsey, and he
Yes.
is. So someone tweeted out. I can't remember what it was. A different network, but it was. I think. To be honest with you, I don't remember now. Someone tweeted out, "What is your hot take for the day?" And I was like, maybe Ken Dorsey is everything we were hoping him to be. And maybe we should all take a seat and let him work. And we'll see how it plays out as the season goes. But I think for a couple weeks in a row, he has done a very well job of the right play calls. And you're going to get one or two wrong here and there most games. I don't think he got much wrong at all. I think I put A+. I think he had probably the best game plan of his year and 4-game career.
I think everybody, first of all, yes, he's gotten to where he's done a few things. One is the 3-yard carry. The 3-yard carry leads to popping runs, and I think that the number one thing he's done is he's instilled more of the running game in this game plan. He's made the game plan much more offensive line friendly. He helps guys where they need help. He's running the ball, especially in the red zone, keeping keeping Josh from feeling like he has to make all these circus plays down there. But the number one thing, and Romo brought it up, and like I said, I'm not a Romo disciple, but I do think Romo makes a great point in this, in the fact that Dalton Kincaid has done wonders for this offense. He's changed the way matchups happen. He's given them a reliable receiver. And the term that Romo used was, he said that Kincaid has actually taken the role of Beasley. And I do believe that. I mean, he is the outlet guy, and he has the ability to pop big plays when he needs to. But the other thing he's done, because we're sitting in so much too tight all the time, the other thing he's done is his blocking is much better than I thought it would be at this point in his career. Does he still need work? Yeah, he does. But he's willing to stick his face in there, and that's 80% of it. The rest of it will come. And he's such a good athlete. He keeps his feet. He's not on the ground. And I just think the addition of Kincaid has been big time for this offense. But Dorsey obviously to me is the star. That if you're going to give McDermott if you're going to go hockey and give 3 stars of the game, you got to give Dorsey one of those stars as well.
Right. Matt Bynum just asked, what happens when Dorsey leaves? Who's going to be the OC then? Triggs and Darrell both put exactly what I was thinking, which is Joe Brady. He's his quarterback coach. Josh's quarterback coach right now. He's done the whole OC thing once. It wasn't all that effective, but I think time with Josh, time with Ken.
Yeah, but who did he have? Right? Brady was a whiz kid when he had who? Joe Burrow and a bunch of LSU Tigers that went to the league, right? Then he went to Carolina. And it was a dud. And he's back with a team where he's got superstars and they can. And
that's why I'm saying if we end up losing Ken Dorsey, and I don't think we would lose him this year. I still think that there's enough questions that it would. I still think it would be one more year. Kind of the same way as Dayball, took. It took that one extra year that people thought.
Right.
I think it would be the same thing with Ken. I think that even when we win the Super Bowl this year, I still think that we would hold on to him for one more year, so that they can guarantee that it wasn't just a 1-year wonder type thing. But even so, even if we were to lose Ken, I think that Brady is the answer.
But I also think that all Bills fans should continue to pray that Daboll sucks, because the more he sucks, the more Dorsey probably doesn't get a head coaching job as soon as you think he does. So let's hope that the Giants continue to be trash.
Or they fire Daboll and then they ask they try to bring somebody else over like Dorsey. No,
exactly.
But
so
going back to what you were saying about Kincaid, my only, I guess, gripe would be that we're only utilizing him in the really short, 3, 4, 5, 6-yard passes. It's been effective, but at the same time, it's it's a little frustrating. But a lot of these rookie receivers that we thought, like JSN, he's out in Seattle. He's got like 60 yards total on the whole freaking season.
How
So
could you be frustrated over what you saw this weekend?
no, I'm not. I'm just saying I'm
I
a
know, but what
little
I'm
frustrated.
saying
Like,
is, if do you want 13 to continue or not? Yeah, I do. I want 13 to continue to catch the ball. But do you want 14 to continue to catch the ball?
of course, of
Then let
course.
Kincaid keep doing what he's doing, because that's a big reason why 14's catching the ball a lot. He's obviously he's a tremendous receiver, but I'm just telling you, there's some matchup things going on right now that are making it a little bit easier for him to get open. But I don't know. I don't nitpick that right now. That'll come into its own when teams start trying the game plan to stop this thing. That's when the over the top stuff, I think, will also open up. And I know we got a couple minutes here. We're going to wrap up this Dolphins Bills game, but Sarah, I have to give my man some credit before we head out. I have to give old Left Eye Bass his love, because I'm telling you what, the dude is a freaking hammer, and he's reliable. Obviously, you'll miss some at some point. All kickers do, but he's a weapon for us. He really is.
Yeah. And the other thing that I want to really talk about from Sunday was Highmark. I have been to a lot of games at Highmark.
They piped in noise. That was artificial crowd noise.
Absolutely not. I have been to games since 1989, 88. I can promise you that was one of the most energetic, loud, just the energy was just unmatched. It, like, people are talking about it, but I'm telling you what, like, I felt it. Like, I'm like, I get jealous a little bit, like when we go to Kansas City and I'm like, they do the whole chant thingy and it's so annoying. And I'm like, God, I wish
What,
we
when they
had
did what? When they disrespect the national anthem?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
Well,
call it what it is.
I'm like, I really wish that we had something that we did. Obviously, not disrespectful or racist or discriminatory or anything else. But I wish we had something that we all do. But right from the beginning, when Bledsoe screwed up the
Of course he
the
did. He owns a winery. I'm sure he did screw it up.
but when he screwed that up, but when he said, I have one question, Bills Mafia, where else? And then literally the whole stadium said, where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
Right.
Like, we do that every home game. It
Right.
was different. It was so different. And it was just, I got goosebumps. And it's going to be hard going forward, obviously, to ever feel that ever again. But we got to figure it out. Sterling's popping in, so I'm gonna add him. I don't know what he has to say, but he's got to say something.
All right. Well, you just
What's up?
Sterling, you just blew up our timeline that we had laid out. Thank you.
I don't even know. I just got done with my show and posting it, and I just wanted to come in here and say what's up to y'all. I'm just totally like taking over the show here, man.
Hijacking.
That's
fine. It's all good. It's all
Hijacking.
good. We
I've
were
got no
talking
problem with
about
that.
Highmark and how crazy it was on Sunday. It was just like I said, I've been to
Well, Sarah, I'm surprised you
games.
yell. I'm surprised you yell. You're down there in row one now, taking all them pictures of the players the whole game. I'm surprised
No.
I'm
I
surprised
don't do it the whole. I
had
do
to go out and
pictures,
get more iCloud space.
I do pictures at the beginning of the game. Shut up. I know where you're going.
She's living the dream, dog. She's living the dream.
Like this whole game.
I know.
No. But
she even has her blue steel pose.
Yeah. I know where he's going because he talked about a thirst trap one day. So he's going there again. I know where he's going.
Every day. Wait, one day.
I think she was shocked that my 53-year-old ass understood what a thirst trap was.
Yeah. Well, hey, I gained quite a few followers this week. So.
That's what it's about, Sarah. So the real intentions are they're coming out. They're coming out.
It's all good. Y'all crazy. But anyways, it was a really good atmosphere. It was crazy.
So are you guys going?
Going where?
What? To London? I'm going to London. I leave tomorrow.
You're not?
No, I'm not. I've got kids back here.
He's
I
coming
got
to
kids
South Florida.
playing. Yeah, I've got kids playing back here playing college football. So I'd much rather watch them.
Yeah, big time responsibilities.
Yes.
I'll be right here watching the game from my home. Just wishing I was in London. But
I'm not a London person.
No?
Never was. Now, if they were playing in Scotland, I'd go. Not much of a London guy.
Like, what do you eat for breakfast? That's what I want to know.
In London?
Yeah.
They eat like sausage
toast and beans.
Yeah, they
toast
bake
beans.
Toast, baked beans, potatoes, and sausage.
Wait a second.
Yeah, man.
In London?
They eat baked beans for breakfast.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You've never heard that? Beans and
toast? The sausage is called bangers.
Oh, no.
They have bangers.
By the way, shout out to Jeremy who just called me auntie again. He's going to keep on making me feel very, very old. I called somebody hun online and he was like, "Oh, there you go with the auntie word." So,
no, real quick, go ahead.
He's making me feel old.
Real quick, Sterling, just kind of before we hop over to this Jaguars game, just your main point of this game this past weekend against the Dolphins, the thing that really just set you back and we're like, damn, that was good. That was good.
Sean McDermott, this defensive line, good Lord. Yeah. Man, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like I felt like coming in, like what kind of advantage is having Sean McDermott as your defensive coordinator? Like, what can I expect from him to shut down some of the NFL's top offenses? Because I didn't think Leslie Frazier did a great job at that when it mattered most. I wanted to see, like, okay, this is a good litmus test for Sean McDermott. And it's just the look on his face knows that, like, he rose to the occasion and he was dialing up some blitz and some packages that I'm like, golly. It was beautiful, man. Yeah. That was the thing to me. Like Josh Allen, 21 to 25, 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's a Josh thing. Like we know he can do that. But like to see the defense do this and then to have a running game to support it, even though it wasn't statistically great, but you still have to account for it. And that is the balance. I mean, you know this, like that's the balance and beginning of a championship caliber squad. Like the Bills finally have that right now. And I'm just riding the waves, man.
Yeah, it's amazing when you allow players to use their strengths and be athletic and run and make plays and not trying to be always worried about what gap they're in, who they're holding up, keep everything in front of you. And you go out and draft these guys and you want them, you draft them high because they're tremendous athletes. Now you're letting them use their strengths. And I think Ed Oliver is a testament to that. I mean, he's the main example of a guy that he's not big enough really to sit in there and try to take on 2 blocks all the time, but man, he's fast, he's strong, he can get upfield, and he can get in gaps, and they're letting him do it.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, what did you guys think about? I mean, what did you guys think about the usage of Terrell Bernard and the linebackers and their ability to cap these routes? Like, what was y'all's takeaway? Because man, it was just amazing to see. It was amazing.
And again, it's the same type of thing, right? I mean, you got 2 of the most athletic linebackers in the league now. I think everybody really didn't realize what they had in Bernard until they seen him play after 4 games, and they realized what a type of athlete he is. And, we all know what Milano can do, a guy that used to play in the back end at safety. Again, if you're going to – hey, how do you beat athletic spread teams? You put an athletic defense on the field, and that's what they've got.
Yeah, we were all nervous, but I think I'm not as nervous anymore with Bernard out there. I think he didn't get to play in the preseason, so we weren't able to see what he could do, and he didn't look all that great over the summer, over training, camp and everything. So I think all of us were a little nervous, and that's why we ended up, how many linebackers were we trying out for the position technically? So, but he's looked great. He's looked consistent. Someone tweeted the other day about we have 2 Matt Milanos out there. I don't quite see that. I see that they're both athletic, they're both fast.
Right.
But you got to give Bernard his own props. I don't want to, compare him to Milano or anything like that. But for someone who's technically very small, he's He's a little thumper too. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, me and Jared, we're just waiting for you to take that selfie with him on the sideline. We're just waiting for that to drop.
You know how
okay.
Taylor. You know how they're saying the Swifties are saying that Taylor put over Travis Kelce. You need to put your boy Bernard on the map.
Okay,
Sarah.
so one quick joke
with them glasses.
Last week, I joked about the fact that there was a girl standing next to me who was trying to get Damar Hamlin's attention, and she was like screaming his name and stuff and doing this, and finally he turned around and he did the heart hand thing, I was like, obviously he was doing it to me, not the hot blonde next to me, yada yada yada. This week, he looks right at me, does this, and does the heart hand. And I didn't say a word. I didn't call his name. I did nothing. And I'm like, oh.
Celebrity status.
Yeah. Celebrity status.
Must be nice.
I mean, he remembers me from summer camp. He signed my hat. So I'm just joking.
Wow.
Hey.
Dude, I could be his mom.
No, you're not.
Like,
no, you're not.
Dude, she's not joking.
No.
I could be his mom.
She's not joking at all. This will be on the X app in about 10 minutes.
Y'all turning me into this cougar or something.
No one said you were a coug.
Nope.
I could be his freaking mom. Okay.
Okay, I got a question for you two before I go.
All right.
So in the NBA, you see teams like the Warriors. We talked about this on Chop Up, like the Warriors and how they, kind of transcended the league and how they, tested teams from the perimeter, right? It was one of those kind of like new outlier kind of styles of offense they played, right? Yeah. In the NFL, we see the Dolphins in this what they call generational, offense with the speed and how they kind of use motion and stuff like that. I just don't think we're giving McDermott enough credit. I'm not saying it's revolutionary by any means, but there are not like teams, I've heard people say that, well, the script has been made for the Dolphins now because the Bills did it, but every team can't do what the Bills just did because they can't match the personnel.
Right.
Do you guys think that McDermott is on to something as the next maybe trend in the NFL, having two matchup style linebackers, having a defensive scheme where you can isolate guys on the defensive line to generate pressure and so forth? What do you guys think about that? Are we on to something or am I overthinking it?
No, I think that you're on to something, but again, it's all copycat, right? Mm-hmm. And people have been trying to isolate pass rushers since I played. I mean, it's just something that you always try to do. Minnesota did it with John Randall. We try to do it with Bruce. And they continue to do that. I mean, I think McDermott's doing a really good job of it. But the deal that you talked about that I think is the big deal is the linebackers in coverage and the things that they're doing coverage-wise. You've got to be able to cover in this league with the rules the way they are. You can't put hands on anybody. You can't touch anybody. You can't hit anybody. So what happens? Well, if you can't be physical with anybody, you got to be able to be an athlete with them, right? And I think that's what McDermott is doing. I think that you'll see this defense even get better down the road, not just this year, but next year and the year after when you start replacing a few guys with some younger guys. How does he replace some of the safeties or whoever? And, that's the big deal. You've got to be able to cover. And it's almost like cornerbacks now that maybe aren't super fast corners are getting bumped to safety so that they now become really, really athletic safeties, right? They know how to cover. So it's almost like this shift of player type and this shift of style of play. And, McDermott's onto it. And he just so happens to have two guys inside that can the right personnel to really do that.
Well, you guys are fantastic. I'm gonna let you do your show now. Okay, I just had to come crash it.
Well, thank you.
Love you too. Man, you guys, Sarah, be safe. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Sterling. Appreciate you.
All
right. Sterling comes in, and with that, we're going to hit a break. We're going to go to we're going to pay a couple bills. We're going to go to our advertiser. We come back and talk Bills Jaguars after this from one of our sponsors.
Nothing builds the thrill quite like seeing our Buffalo Bills march right down the field. Every pass, every play, and every touchdown. But for those of us who have to catch the action blurry, it's time to call Fichte, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care and schedule a consultation. With Zeiss Smile technology, you can have your vision corrected in moments so you can get back to focusing on what's important. It's a quick, pain-free procedure with a world-class team, and you're back in the action. Visit us online at ficta.com and take our free self-evaluation test to see if you are eligible and schedule a consultation. Because here in Buffalo, we don't just watch the game, we live it. Ficta, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care. We are focused on you.
All right, again, if you're on Facebook, watching us on Facebook or on Twitter, hop on over to YouTube, get in the comments, and you can be interactive with the show. Also, you got a like button, you got a subscribe button. Hit both of them. They help us tremendously. And we are on a special Tuesday night edition of The Line to Gain because my co-host Sarah is going over to England to watch the Bills take on the Jaguars. And we're going to talk about that game a little bit. But obviously, right off the bat, Sarah, I'm going to ask you this question. Does it, no other way to say it, does it piss you off that the Jaguars played over there this week and they get to hang out all week and wait for us to show up after a very emotional, a very stressful, high-octane football game at home when we beat the Dolphins?
I actually said it back in May that I didn't quite think it was fair because not only does it feel like it's their home game because they play over there all the time, but it also feels like it's really their home game because they're playing over there 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
So it kind of sucks. They won their game convincing fashion. But just the same way that Miami, played Denver, when it's an emotional win, it does take a little out. So now we have to come off that high of that victory, get our minds straight, and then take a 6-hour, 7-hour flight over there and take on a team that's been chilling and eating beans and toast all week. So
I mean, I think this is a Jaguars team that's on its way up. I don't think they quite have the personnel yet to be where Doug Peterson wants them to be, but Doug is a hell of a coach. He's won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, played a long time as a quarterback in the NFL. And, offensively, again, even though they maybe don't have the pedigree that the Dolphins had, they're going to come out in a pro set. They're going to come out in 3 wides, a tight end, 1 back, led by Trevor Lawrence. And they've got a lot of really, really good talent at receiver. I mean, they've got Calvin Ridley. They got Christian Kirk, Zay Jones. And you look at Evan Ingram, the tight end. This is a team that can put some numbers up throwing the football.
Yeah, and I think that's, we go there, we went there, I should say, a couple years ago when we played Jacksonville. They weren't a good team back then. Right. Yeah, I mean, they were a decent team. They were on their way up, like we were saying, and they made us look ridiculous. That it was one of those things that they call, the trap game, and everyone's like, there's no such thing as a trap game. It felt like a trap game 2 years ago, I think it was. So, heading over there, we are 5.5 point favorites. I feel like we're 5.5 point favorites because they were there all week, and I feel like they're getting a lot more of the benefit. I think we are definitely the better team. I think we have the better defense, but our defense is going to get tested. I don't think it's going to get tested the way, Miami did, but it's all about whether or not, McDermott, plans accordingly. And he has the right matchups and everything else. They have a running game too. So we definitely have to look at every facet of what they, facet of what they have and make sure we have the right personnel for that. And, they have their own Josh Allen who, tends to, cause our Josh Allen some headaches. So hopefully we have a plan for that. I will say that McGovern, I think, has done very well, but Osiris Torrance has just been ridiculous on that line. I think he's been the most impactful person that we've picked up so far this year.
Well, for all the bean haters, you got 2 starters in the first 2 picks, right?
Yeah.
And then I know Williams isn't playing much, but he's a tremendous contributor on special teams.
Special teams.
So he's hit big in this last draft. But the Jaguars are going to come out. They're going to play a 3-4 defense. It'll be a little bit harder to run the football than maybe it was last week, but I think you'll still see the Bills try to feed Cooks. They're going to try to get their running game in. I think that's been a huge deal.
Did you say they have a 3-4 defense? I haven't even paid attention.
Yeah, they got a 3-4 defense.
Have we saw only in preseason, right?
Yeah, in preseason we've seen one, but obviously their outside linebackers are going to play like defensive ends. They'll rush,
right.
But they're going to sit in a 3-4. Again, 3-4s are usually, everybody thinks, well, you only got 3 down linemen, it should be easier to run the ball. That's actually harder to run the ball against a 3-4. But I think that the plays will be there if they continue to do what they've been doing, which is utilizing that intermediate and short passing game to open up the plays downfield. And I just I think it's going to be let's go to human nature, right? Let's go to human nature. And it's amazing how this fan base is talking week 4 from when they were talking week 1, right? And you look at this team, and human nature will set in a little bit. They just beat their divisional rival. They beat them badly. A team that was dubbed the best team in the NFL before they stepped into Orchard Park last weekend. Unfortunately, now there's people that are saying we are, which I wish they wouldn't say that, but they are. But you got a long plane ride. You're a little bit beat up, especially in the secondary. So human nature is going to set in. I think it'll be a tougher game for Buffalo to get going. I think it might be we might be in the mud a little bit in the first part of this game. I think eventually they'll get over the top, but I think it will be a tougher football game than people think it will be.
Yeah, and there's the narrative of don't beat yourself and everything else. I think because of the emotional win, I think that the first half might not look the same, and it might be a little slower. But again, I don't have any doubts. I think that this is a game that we should win. There shouldn't be, and I feel like we'll obliterate the spread. I have us winning by 12 points. So I think we'll do just fine. But it won't be the same 28-point victory. And it'll be a little bit more I don't want to say it'll be a little bit more boring, but it'll be a little bit more in tune where they're kind of on the same same score here. It's very close. And then I feel like in the second half we'll take it, we'll run away with it a little bit. I don't hear you. You're muted.
I'm sorry, I had that off because I cleared my throat earlier. When I think of this game, I think of the most important thing to me is it's twofold. One is punts are good plays, and the other thing is not turning the ball over. These games are tougher emotionally. They're tougher to get up for. The team will be up for it. But again, I go back to that human nature thing. So I think that as long as we protect the football and we don't do anything stupid, we're able to punt the ball. If we have some difficulties, we should be fine. So I'm really looking forward as we get ready to hit our 2-minute warning before we get to our fourth quarter segment. I really think that I'm curious to see when you come back, the atmosphere. Is there a local presence? Do the Londoners get into this? Do they show up, or is the whole entire stadium filled with just Bills Mafia?
No, I mean, from my understanding, I have a couple of people that are over there that live over there, and they say, you'll see people walking around with all different NFL jerseys on, and that'll be going to the game. So you'll have Cowboy fans and Giants fans and Kansas City fans, unfortunately. So you'll have people over there that are from all different teams. But don't get me wrong, Bills Mafia is going to travel well. The one thing that I disliked about having Jags 2 weeks in a row is it's a really good opportunity for Jags fans to go over and spend a week and get to see 2 football games. And that was kind of the one thing that got me a little upset. So they'll probably, have a little bit more of a presence than they probably normally would have, but Bills Mafia travels. So I have no doubt that we're going to pack that stadium. But if anyone noticed, I was looking down a lot. I was actually Googling, because in my head, I thought when we were talking about the Jags game from 2 years ago in 2021, that, we ended up, losing 9-6. The game the week before was against the Dolphins, and we won 26-11 at home. So it's ironic that we are doing this again. I hope it's not the same outcome. Obviously, I do not want to see a 9-6 game in London at all. At all. You're muted again, Jerry.
All right, let's do this again. So you just said 9-6 before we played over there. Let's get to our predictions before we get to our college segment, and I'll let you go first.
Well, I have us winning 28-17. Sorry, that's 11 points. I said 12. 28-17.
I've got the Bills winning after a sluggish start, some defensive big plays, and the Bills staying with the running game as they work their way out of it. I've got the Bills winning 27-17. So we're kind of very similar. Yeah, we're very similar.
All right.
We're very similar. So, hey, we'll be right back with our college football segment, the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter is brought to you by Picasso's Pizza. And we'll be right back after this.
Hey, football fans, the season is here. So you know that means family, football, and food. But for the NFL's best fan base, it can't be just any food. Bills Mafia only eats the best during the season. And the best is Picasso's Pizza. With 4 great locations in Western New York, it's so easy to treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's. We are Buffalo Pizza, shipping local and nationwide. Order online at picassospizza.net.
All right. And again, this college football segment, the fourth quarter, brought to you by Picasso's Pizza. And I would just like to talk about this week's picks because I was straight ass last week.
This is not how it works. It's not how it works.
I was straight ass, and I took some chances because I'm trying to get back in it, and obviously my chances did not do well. I will say this: I did pick. I guess I should just go ahead and put money on Buffalo, the Colorado Buffaloes every week because I did pick them correct again, and I think one other game, but yeah, just straight doo doo.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, this is the new AP poll. Pretty much the same, for the top 10. A couple people changed. USC moved back a little bit. Oregon moved up a little bit. So I guess USC probably dropped one spot after that game. Alabama moved up. Oklahoma moved up a couple of spots. North Carolina moved up. My Hurricanes moved up a spot, even though they didn't play, which, hey, go figure. And then Kentucky's in there. And they're moving up a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty much what we've been looking at. I think the biggest surprise for me is what we're gonna see when I pull up this week's picks is the disrespect to Washington State. So we'll get there in a second, but we got to talk about last week's picks. So I mean,
I'm sorry, I can't see them. I can't see them. We'll have to.
Not at all. I think Jerry got three right. 3.
I thought I got 2 right.
Yeah, no, 3. I got 9 out of 10. Thank you. 9 out of 10. The one that I got wrong was the Syracuse Clemson game. I did not think Syracuse was going to win. I just thought that they would cover the spread, but Clemson destroyed them. But it felt good. Colorado came back in the second half and gave USC a good run for their money. And I said from the beginning that Georgia, to me, even though I figured they were still going to win, I didn't think that they were going to win by over 2 scores. And I think that I was the only one that picked Oregon State. I said that Utah is more of a defensive team, but it didn't seem like they could outlast Oregon's offense and Oregon State's offense. And that felt good. That pick felt good because both of you guys picked Utah.
Well, the game that you pulled out of your rear end was the Ole Miss game. That's the
I
game
don't
you
think
pulled
I
out of
pulled
your
it out
rear
of my rear end. I
Yeah,
don't
you
think
did.
LSU looks the part. I really don't.
They
And
don't defensively. They
I
don't
did not
defensively.
pick them again this week. You're
And
gonna say
that's why I'm taking them again this week, because I don't think they can be historically that bad. They've got to play something good at some time. If not, Brian Kelly needs to be gone real fast.
yeah. All right. So, anyways, that was my moment to brag. So I wanted to brag a little bit. Obviously, getting 9 out of 10 picks felt pretty darn good. So this is this week's. I think the biggest game of the week, obviously, is Oklahoma Texas.
Yeah.
I think that that's going to be an amazing game. If this game was in Oklahoma, I might have leaned towards Oklahoma, especially with if they
Okay,
were
now
still given 6.5
let me
points.
let me teach you a little something. You know the game's never in Oklahoma, right?
What do you mean?
They always play at the Cotton Bowl.
Really? I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, this game has been played at the Cotton Bowl for forever. And if you watch the game, one of the coolest pictures I'll show you is they'll fly a drone or the blimp above the stadium, and literally the 50-yard line, it is a dead division between burnt orange and crimson.
Really?
So
Okay.
yeah, they've played in
I've never paid
the
attention to
Cotton
that.
Bowl. Yeah, they switched the Iron Bowl from Birmingham. They switched some other games, but they will never switch this game. It's always played at the Cotton Bowl, and it's always during the Texas State Fair as well.
Oh wow. Good to know. I'm gonna pay
Yep.
attention to that more now
Yeah.
because I've never really paid attention to that. I think that Texas is showing that. I mean, they haven't lost a step, and I thought when they lost Bijan and Roshan, that they were gonna struggle in the running game, and they haven't at all. They look good, so I still have them winning against Oklahoma. Like I said, the LSU game, I'm taking Mizzou with the 6.5. Whether or not LSU wins, I think it'll be close. I
The
just
thing
don't
that
see
I
I
took
don't see it.
LSU. I don't think Missouri's played anybody. They're 5-0. It being 5-0 and only 21st in the country kind of gives a little bit of that.
Of
I
course.
looked back at who they played during the year. They haven't really played anybody. LSU's played. I mean,
Oh,
murderous
they're in
row,
the
right?
SEC,
Right,
like in
right.
the heart of it all. So yeah, well, we'll see how that works out. I like the fact that, it being at Missouri. So I'm just saying I'm taking the points. The Washington State game against UCLA. Now, don't get me wrong. UCLA, I think, is a good team. But Washington State has a quarterback. They have a good team. They're ranked 13th in the country. I get that it's at UCLA, but they are considered underdogs in this game, and
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
blown away by it.
I don't get it either. Washington State's a hell of a football team.
Okay.
And I hate to say this, and John, if you're listening, I apologize, but I couldn't not take the points in Washington State.
Yeah.
I just think it's just too much. And obviously, Vegas obviously knows a lot more than we do. It's only 3.5, but still, I think Washington State's probably one of the most, if not the most underrated football team in the country this season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're moving up, so we'll see how it plays out. I'm the crazy one that, I'm taking Texas A&M over Alabama. I still don't feel like Alabama is legitimate yet. This is the one that I'll probably lose, but it's at Texas A&M. It's going to be a cool atmosphere. It always is down there. When they're taking on a big Power 5 team, and then you got it's Alabama. So
I like the Crimson Tide. I don't think there's any way in holy hell that Saban allows himself to get beat by Jimbo Fisher.
yeah. So again, I like going against the grain a little bit, so I picked Texas A&M. Colorado at Arizona State. I'm actually a little surprised that the spread's only 4.5. I think Colorado has shown now the way that they came back against USC. I think that Colorado can put up numbers, and I think that they will against Arizona State. So granted, I know that they only put 3 up against Oregon. I get it. Arizona State's defense is not Oregon's defense. So I think Colorado's going to win, and I think they're going to win big.
I know that this is the week that Hunter's supposed to come back. I've never seen anybody come back from a lacerated liver that quick. If he does, more power to him. I think if he comes back, even being rusty and maybe not 100%, I like Colorado just because I think even if their defense isn't very good, I just think they'll score enough points to win it.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot of big, huge games this week. Kentucky and Georgia is supposed to be another one. Kentucky's, they were, I think, 24th or 25th last week. Now they've moved up to 20th. I don't think that there's any chance they're going to beat Georgia. I just have them covering the spread, especially at home in Georgia. I think it'll be a 14-point game, but right now the spread's 14.5. So I went ahead and picked Kentucky.
I took Kentucky too. I think that 14.5 is a lot of points, but I also think that if you've watched enough Georgia, the offensive output's not quite there. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if Mark Stoops and in Kentucky, gets it done. But at 14.5 points, you got to take Kentucky.
Yeah, and then TCU at Iowa State. You were the only one that picked Iowa State. I picked TCU, and so did Ronnie. To me, Iowa State's. They've lost more than they've won at this point, but I feel like their matchups, like they played Iowa, and they've been in it. They've been in a lot of these games, so I think it'll be close. But I still have TCU winning by a touchdown.
Watched Iowa State play OU last week. Although OU won, Iowa State did have some success. Matt Campbell's really good at least winning one game a season he shouldn't win. Seen enough TCU. I don't think they're
not what they were last
year.
They're
lacking a little bit, and at 3-2 rolling in. I mean, if you ever been to Ames, it's this desolate place that just kind of is out in the middle of nowhere. It's literally 30, 35, 40 minutes north of Des Moines. I don't know. I got a hunch. I like Iowa State.
All right. And then I don't know why I keep on throwing Wyoming in here, but it's been fun.
You know why you throw Wyoming in there?
Well, because of Josh, of course.
Thank you.
The fact that they're playing another ranked team, they're playing Fresno State, and it's at home. I think Wyoming can pull this one off. So I'm
another armpit, Laramie, Wyoming.
Yes, Laramie.
Don't think of beauty when you think of Laramie. And the other thing is, it's about 3 inches from the sun up there. It's a different type of environment. I mean, you got altitude. Wyoming is really good at uglying up football games.
I can't wait to talk. A friend of mine, the Bills Elvis, John Lang, him and his daughter went out to Wyoming and watched the game. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. So can't wait to hear his stories from that. It seems like it would be an interesting game day. I want to go out and watch Colorado because they've definitely changed that atmosphere a lot too. Colorado seems to be pretty exciting as well.
Yeah, so, it's a cool place. I mean, it's a little bit dated, but it's cool. It's always fun to go out to Colorado and visit.
Well, Sterling lives out there, so I'm gonna have to go invade his space and go out to a Colorado game.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
So we're not going to talk about we missed the Baylor Texas Tech game.
Did I? Sorry,
And you did miss one other game, but I'm a little uncomfortable talking about it, so I'm not going to talk about
the Tulsa, Florida, FAU
Atlantic.
game?
Of course, I took the Golden.
I threw that one in there for you, obviously. No, let's talk about it. So are you flying into Boca?
I'm not coming down to the game, and
you're not.
2 weeks ago, my son banged his shoulder up a little bit, so he missed this past week's game. He's missing this week's game. They have a bye week, then he'll be back for that Rice game. So, well, I say that he is going on the trip, and I think it's going to be a game time decision. So, we'll see how that all works out. But,
all right.
So anyway, I'll watch it on TV. We'll be here watching, always supporting. That's my school. It's funny that we got a hurricane and a hurricanes on the show.
I know. We should have change this segment to be called something to correspond with that.
So when are you coming back? Are you going to be here for next week, or are we going to do it from across the pond?
No, I come back on Monday. I got to get ready to travel to Buffalo next weekend.
All right. Well, hey, this has been the Line to Gain show on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. Thanks for Sterling hopping in. Always good to see him. Everybody, and I didn't know that was coming, so
yeah, it was fun.
It was good. So everybody on the comments, Matt, Daryl, Triggs, Walter, Roy, Mike AAZ, everybody that joined in tonight to drop your comments, watch the show. We appreciate you as always. Remember, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll be back on our regular time next week, 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Wednesday night, right here on YouTube. Also, we have Facebook and we also have Twitter. But remember, if you're on YouTube, you can join in on the show. And once again, she's Sara Larson. I am the Big O, Jerry Ostroski. And we'll be back next week to talk about the Bills win versus the Jaguars over in London. So as always, one love and go Bills.
Go Bills.